The good old clap, take one.
That's right.
How many of you knew what you wanted to be when you were 7 years old? I did. I wanted to be a world champion.
Hey, is there honesty involved in this podcast? Can we be honest?
You can shut your fucking lips.
And then I'll just say, put them up, what? Let's go.
He's like, you look too pretty on the wave. Get ugly.
We can talk about DMT if you want.
I thought we were boxing.
All right, so we have our very first repeat guest, Kanoa Igarashi. Thank you for coming back to the lineup, man.
Yeah, it's nice to be back.
I was talking about this just before we started, and I feel like for sure I've done way more of these on the computer than I have in person. So every time I do one in person now, I'm like, oh, I got to like relearn all my stuff.
Yeah, well, the audio's better for sure. For people that are listening.
There's no delay.
There's no delay. And I feel like, we get to actually like talk and look at each other and really, get in the conversation. It's different. Cyber world's different, but I think we all have to adapt. Here we are now.
We're all going to have to adapt, I think, now that we're it feels like the world is reemerging outside of the pandemic. I'm still of the opinion that like none of us are going to appreciate how weird or messed up it was for decades, maybe, where we'll just be like, yeah, that was just so strange, where we were all just kind of living through it together.
Yeah. That'll be one of those ones where you tell your grandchildren for sure. Like, I can't even believe that happened. The way it all happened, the way it all just like evolved in front of our eyes. It's you can kind of have a little laugh about it now that it's, feels like it's kind of easing off, but yeah, it was tricky.
Yeah. And I mean, on that topic, obviously you've been living in it from one particular stakeholder, the athlete competitor, but this season between, Pipe in December throughout the year has been particularly challenging, lots of moving parts and new venues and quarantine and travel. And, I'm wondering if you've had time to reflect just from the competitor's perspective, how disruptive it's been and if you've had any kind of tricks to navigate it.
Yeah, it's been a lot trickier than I thought it was going to be. Starting the season, I guess a little bit cold in a way, and everyone was cold, no one really knew what to expect. Everyone, it's one of those things where we use competition as a way to gauge how we're training and how we're evolving. And competition pretty much puts a number on what you're doing.
Gives you a score.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's what it is. But, and not having that gauge for such a long time, you feel like you're kind of shooting in the dark a little bit.
Right.
And then the lights finally turned on and, you get to see if you're making hoops or not. And in a way, and the extra challenge to all that was like we had a few events that we've never even done before.
Sure.
And that was just like a whole nother span in the works. So it was just like a lot of information. Mm-hmm. And, I felt like I adapted pretty well. I didn't surf the way I wanted to, and I didn't put my heats together the way I wanted to. And obviously just some silly mistakes, made me kind of I can't really say it was a rough start, when you're in a couple finals days and stuff like that. But it was tricky. It was a learning experience for me, and I walked away from it a little bit, not about scarred, but a little bit, hurt. So
humbled a little bit, maybe.
No, 100%. Where you kind of you take some results and you realize, okay, cool, like this is where I'm at, and you look forward, you move forward. But yeah, Australia was insane. It was such a dream to be there, and in this these times that we're in, Australia was a bit of a vacation.
I'm sure. When you say that you didn't surf the way you wanted to, what does that usually boil down to? Is it just lack of opportunity in terms of waves, or as you said, you didn't put the heats together the way you wanted to? Like, what is that for you when you're going, I had 30 minutes and I just didn't perform the way I wanted to? What is that like?
Yeah, it's a really weird one. It's really hard to explain because we're I guess on the CT, you're surfing at a level where if you're surfing at 73% or if you're surfing at 74%.
Right.
And I guess from the outsider perspective looking in, you just see like, wow, he's surfing good or he's surfing bad.
Right.
And it's like, I know I was surfing good, but it was just that like next gear that I just didn't really click into. It was just I just never got into my flow state. I never got into that kind of like, okay, here we go. Like, here's my footing. Like, I've got it now. I just never found that, and that happens. It's just competition. Like, you you can't really have that weigh heavy on you, because at the end of the day, it was 4 events. If it feels like a long time. It's a lot of points on the line, but 4 events in the whole scheme of things in my career, it's nothing. I say that, and I still I got to walk away from it top 10 in the world, and I had a quarterfinals finish, and walked away with a lot of experience. So it's at the end of the day, it's not I don't really feel like it was a loss, but it was a pretty big learning experience.
That precision kind of calibration where you're saying, I can tell if I'm surfing at 73% versus 74% in competition. Do you have that same sort of sensitivity in free surfs? Can you tell if you're on or you're off? And I guess in free surfs, do you feel like you're more on than off compared to competition?
Yeah, 100%. But, I guess in a free surf, you're not really so particulate as you would be in a heat. In and around the competition, you look after every little decision you make in a free surf. A free surf around the competition is a lot different from a free surf that I would have at home.
Right.
But yeah, in saying that, like,
what are the key differences? I'm curious. I just think that's so interesting that your free surfs around an event are so different from your free surfs at home.
Oh, it's I feel like I'm doing a different sport. I'm like, for example, I surfed 2 days ago in Huntington with a couple of friends, and we were just surfing, and all of a sudden, like, you go in the water, and we just start talking about, like, we're just catching up on, we're talking about, like, my recent trip to El Salvador.
Right.
And we're just, like, talking about that and talking about, like, just random stuff, and all of a sudden I was like, whoa, I'm already out here for an hour and a half. I'm like, we should go get lunch. But, like, I barely remember, like, the waves that I had.
Right.
I must have caught, like, who knows, 10, 15 waves, but those waves just kind of flew by. I was just surfing and having fun, and I couldn't wait to get back to the lineup and just start talking, keep the conversation going.
Right. Yeah.
See, like, if you get an understanding of that mindset versus, let's say, like yesterday, here at the wave pool.
Yeah.
I'm free surfing, but I was on the wave. 20 minutes before I started the wave, I started thinking about my run. I started checking my board, making sure everything was in place. I caught my wave. As soon as I stood up, I went, okay, here we go. Took a deep breath, line, and that wave felt like an hour long just in itself. I'm thinking about every little maneuver, widening my stance here, narrowing it here, drop the right arm, glide here, drop down, major maneuver here, lay back here, change the maneuver. Okay, set up for the inside barrel, and then make sure you do a nice bottom turn to hit the lip and come out of it critical with a air reverse.
Right.
Compare that to having an hour and a half fly by, just talking about lunch.
Right.
In the water with your friends. That's the difference.
And then that makes a ton of sense, especially like psychologically. But I'm curious, do you think that your actual technical surfing in free surfs is different, or you're just more on autopilot? Like, would you say, like, well, I do more airs, or sometimes I just cruise and like trim, or you're like, no, I'm always driving my Ferrari and I'm redlining it even when I'm free surfing, but my headspace is different.
Yeah. I think it depends on a lot of surfers. For me, like, I'm in my F1 car all the time. I love riding my good boards. I love, even though I am having fun and just hanging out with my friends and turned off, I still get to stand up on a wave and go, like, oh yeah, like,
right.
I just dropped a 9.5.
I'm good at this. Yeah.
Yeah. I just got a 9.5 on that one. And then saying that, like, yeah, I do have sessions where I'm going, like, okay, great, I'm gonna work on this today. Like, I'm gonna really lock in here and work on this. And then there are other sessions where I just go, like, what, I just want to catch waves and just go in the water today.
Yeah.
So just it all, we have when I go in the ocean, I feel like I have about 10 different types of surfing that I do.
Yeah.
And it just varies in the day.
Because this season's been so unique in the sense of it was being designed around COVID and so many other things, we're also sort of in the transformation of what the tour is going to look like in full flight in 2022. The rhythm of the tour just changed a lot, right? Where we usually start on the Gold Coast and then we go to, West Oz or Bells, and those first few events really sort of suit people who've been on tour for a long time, or they suit certain surfers. And a lot of the commentary I've heard, even at this event from the surfers, is how much different the performances and the results and the rankings look because the venues were different.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about that.
Well, it's so funny you say that because, I'm super new to the tour still, even though,
Right.
I mean, I feel like I'm really new to the tour still. I feel like I'm saying that because I think it would have been my 4th year on tour.
I got it here. This is going 2021.
My 5th?
Is your 5th? Yeah, you started
Okay.
2016.
Okay, yeah. No, but we're skipping.
We skipped, but yeah, so it would have been your 6th, but I didn't count 2020.
Okay, so my
5th
5th
with
competitive year.
That's right.
Okay, so like I feel like the 5th year was like, here we go. Like, this is the tour. I know the tour. I know every single venue. I feel like not a veteran, obviously, but I know my spots.
You'll have an advantage.
I know my Bells Beach. I know my Snapper. I know my Margaret River.
Right.
And I worked so hard at that start. I've never had a good start actually. In my whole career.
Why do you think that?
I have a hard time in Australia. I don't know why. Just my whole thing is, I think it's because I don't really get going until I feel pressure. Until I feel like my back is against the wall and I feel nervous and anxious. That's what excites me. That's what fuels me. And those first few events you kind of just go through the motions. It's like, everyone's like, oh, I want to get a good start. Like, let's go. But it's not the same as the last 3 events. The Europe leg or that last drive where it's like, okay, like you need to get a semifinals here. That's what it that drive and that feeling of people not expecting it. Not about not expecting it, but kind of like counting me out. Like, yeah, that's a pretty hard task in front of them, and being able to overcome that's what it really excites me. And I guess in the beginning stages of the year, you kind of lose that a little bit. You kind of don't have that. Everyone's just kind of like competing and going through the motions, and that for me is I think it's my weakness, and I'm trying to work on it.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. The last time we talked, I remember when that was, 1 billion years ago, based on how it feels.
Another life.
It's a different world. It's a different reality.
Yeah.
You were very much ascendant. Winning in Karamas. On your way to WSL finals contention. A lot of really exciting stuff. And as you said, even though you haven't gotten the results you wanted this year, you're still top 10 and well within striking distance. And even saying that, like you said, you were on tour for 5 years, but you started at so young too.
Yeah.
So I'd imagine there's like just a physiological maturation that has to happen too, where you're growing into the adult body as well and having to work on equipment and stuff like that. So do you still feel like you're poised in a positive way this season?
Oh yeah. I mean, well, it's tricky. It's like people, I think a lot of people forget that I'm 23 still, I mean, I forget at least.
Sure. Yeah.
I forget that a lot. I feel like just kind of, sometimes I'm just like, wow, I've been around this for so long. Like I wonder how many more years I have left in this, but it's like guys are still trying to qualify at 23 years old, so for me,
way later.
Way later.
Yeah.
And it's normal. And for me, I kind of, the tours made me mature a lot quicker than I would have without the tour. I've matured on tour in front of everybody. I mean, I'm not saying I'm mature yet, but a little bit more than I was when I was 18 when I qualified. But yeah, like coming into my 5th year, like being 9th right now, I mean, yeah, like I know I'm right there in the top 5 contention. Obviously, I'm pretty much just like a quarters or semis away from just jumping in here. The surf match event that's coming up in a couple of days. I mean, I feel like my head is more, I already feel like I'm already in the top 5. I just want to make sure I do the right things and get there physically. but yeah, it's weird because in my head, I mean, something that I've realized is that back in the day when I would get bad results and I would be a little bit upset with my performances and stuff, I would be like on the edge of falling off tour, or like I'd be falling off tour pretty much.
Sure.
And then I'd be like, okay, let's buckle in here to stay on tour. Whereas now it's like, I'm like, okay, well, I didn't really have the start that I wanted to. And I remember coming out of the water at I think it was at Merriweather. I got a ninth, and I remember I was so pissed off. That I didn't make the quarters. I was like, and like it was just the weirdest feeling. Like back in the day, a ninth place for me would be I would be like, okay, I'm stoked with a ninth. Like
Right.
a ninth is epic. And nowadays I'm like, like gonna lock myself in my room for 3 days if I don't make finals day. So that like transition is pretty crazy to me in such a small amount of time. And I'm upset with my Australian leg, but I'm ninth in the world right now. And then you take out Jordan, you take out John, I'm 7th in the world. So it's kind of one of those things where I'm right there in the mix, but I feel like I've only done 40% of my capabilities. So yeah, I just have to find my footing.
It's interesting you put it that way too, because I think the last time we spoke, we were talking about how there's levels to it. It's not about like I qualified and I've succeeded and whatever happens. It's like I remember you saying, look, I've got goals. Like this year I want to make this many events, and this year I want to make a final, and then this year I want to make a win, and then I want to be a world title contender. And it sounds like, again, kind of mentally that you're there, where you're like, oh no, ninth is no longer acceptable. I'm holding myself to a higher standard.
Yeah, I mean, every event, the goals that I've set for myself are minimum quarterfinals. And, in saying that, I guess a minimum quarterfinals is right there. I've gotten 2 this year. I've pretty much counted myself out of 2 quarterfinals this year because of silly mistakes, like interferences and stuff like that,
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm right on par, I guess. If I really, now that I'm talking about it and looking at it, I'm right there. So yeah, it's the tour is funny. It's you can go through. I mean, you're against nature. You get a couple average results, and then you win an event. People forget about your average results.
Yeah.
If I win this event now, people will say that I'm having the best year of my life. But if I win this event right now, I'll tell you that I'm having an average year. But even saying that, anyone can win an event with an average year. That's the level that the tour is at. Someone that's a rookie. You look at Morgan. Everyone's saying he's having a crazy year. Standout, breaking through, but he's having a normal year for him.
Right.
He's getting these big results because he's that good.
Right.
And it kind of frustrates me when people say like, oh, he's having a crazy run, or he's on fire right now. He's got the hot putter. No, it's like that's just him. Like,
right.
Let his talent shine a little bit instead of letting momentum and hype bring him up. It's like, you got to give credit to his hard work, I feel like.
I love that you said that, because I think it's a good segue to the next topic. But first, before we get to that, we'll take a quick break to get a word in from our sponsors. This is something I'm always fascinated about, because it feels like it comes up in conversation all the time, especially now, because we're dealing with, and I'd count yourself in there too, mega superstars that grew up largely in the surfing world, right? And so there's this balance of the hype machine that is sort of the industry and the media versus performance in competition, right? And if you get down to it, performance in competition, a lot of ways is like, well, it may be imperfect, but it is the most objective measure of someone's ability. It's kind of what you said in the beginning. It's like, that's the scorecard for how we're doing. And it's funny, right? Because you can look at a bunch of people, like I was talking about Julian this morning, and kind of all the people that are like, Julian's not living up to expectations, et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, by any standard of measure, like he's a pipe master and a Triple Crown winner, and he's won multiple CTs, like his career is amazing. But you kind of have to kill the hyped version of yourself to get down to performance. I'm wondering if that's something that you ever have to deal with.
Well, I mean, real quick, you're talking about Julian. Like, if you look at Julian, and you look at the big picture, he's given himself many looks at a world title.
Sure.
And that's all you can. I mean, you can get yourself to that point. You give yourself good looks, and then after that, it's a lot of other variables happen. But Gabriel's given himself a lot of good looks. Kelly's given himself a lot of good looks, and a lot of good looks lead to world titles.
Mm.
And Julian put himself right there, just because he doesn't have that next to his name. He's won multiple events, and he's, like I said, he's given himself good looks. So it's kind of like, it's really hard. It's really hard to not see a world title next to his name.
Sure.
Guys like Taj,
Of course.
he's given himself really good looks too. But yeah, like for me, it's kind of hard to say that for me as well, because I'm so early in my career.
Of course.
Who knows? I feel like so far I haven't really given myself any good looks. And I mean, hopefully I can say that I have in the next 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
But what I mean by good look is like, yeah, you're in that title race. People are talking about you at Pipe.
Right.
Or even the event before, in the Europe, like people were talking about, world title implications. I guess I had a little bit after my Karamis win right there, but
Right.
the real one is like around Pipe and stuff. Guys are like, okay, this guy needs to make a semis and stuff like that. If you're in that conversation, that's all you can really ask for. You put yourself there. You're giving yourself the best opportunity. You're giving yourself a better opportunity than if you're in 20th. Yeah, and if you're there for a multiple amount of years, you're gonna win a world title.
Right.
And I guess with this new format, if you put yourself in 10 WSL finals in the next 10 years, you're gonna win one.
Yeah.
Just by numbers and just by odds.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting, right? Because going back to your Morgan point, he is, as you said, he's surfing to his potential and he's getting results, and people are like, wow, what a breakout year. But it's only a breakout year compared to the lack of hype around him before.
Yeah, it's only a breakout year because no one knew about him before.
That's right. Whereas, as you said, with someone like Julian, who's had a number of looks at the world title, and I'd say too, even before he qualified, the amount of hype that the industry was putting on him, people kind of also don't measure his or appreciate what he's accomplished, because people are like, well, where's your world title?
Yeah.
Right. And do you think it's, from just a competitor standpoint, is it better to kind of sneak in under the radar and have a bite at it, or to have kind of the clout of the public expectation coming into these things?
I think it doesn't matter. I think I guess it's more personality based.
Right. How about for you though? How do you
for me?
Yeah.
I mean, as long as I'm training every day, and as long as I'm getting better every day and working towards that, I think that's the only thing that really matters for me.
Sure.
I guess we live in an age where social media is such a big part of careers.
Mm-hmm.
I guess if we wind it back 1,000 years, like when Kelly was coming up.
Sure.
Like, I don't know I wonder how much hype he had going on to the tour.
Like, it's a good question, right? Like, and you could even look even more recently at someone like Mick.
Yeah.
And also, maybe they had more hype collectively because there just wasn't attention that was democratized across social media.
Yeah.
The only thing magazines were talking about was Kelly, or the only thing magazines were talking about was Mick. But it's at the same time, the trade-off is sort of like privacy and access and those things too.
But you know what? Now that I think about it, Gabriel had all the hype in the world going on in the tour. He actually did. Like he may have been a little bit underground, but he won King of the Groms with 210s.
Yeah.
Everyone knew about him.
Yeah.
And that was before he got on tour.
Yeah.
He smoked through the QS. People were talking about him. They're calling him the Wonder Kid.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So yeah, in saying that, he was he got on tour and he lived up to the hype.
Sure.
People do it. And no one's let down with his performances.
Of course.
And I mean, it took him the thing is, some people it happened in the first year, some people happened 4 or 5 years after.
Right.
It just depends on the person. And I don't think that has anything to do with the hype that you go on in the tour with. That's just on you. The hype is something that you can't really create or you can't really avoid. It's something that some people outside of your world kind of create for you.
Right.
So, it's kind of one of those things where you kind of can't lose energy over something you can't control.
Right.
That's how I look at it. Yeah, I mean, I'm having fun with it, to be honest.
And you're in a very, very unique position, I think, even on tour, because just out from an outsider's perspective, it seems like your life has changed dramatically because you are either the or one of the faces of the Tokyo Games. Is that how it doesn't sound like it's impacted your psychology in terms of competition, but for sure your schedule must be pretty busy comparatively.
Yeah, it's definitely really hectic right now. But it's an honor. I feel like it's this kind of it's an honor to be able to have you say that, or have that have my name right next to the Olympics. Um I feel like I have this kind of role in a way of bringing surfing to Tokyo and surfing into the showcasing surfing in the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, we're all going there we're waving our flags, and you're representing your nation. But what we're really doing is we're all representing surfing. Right. We're all waving the surfing flag, next to our country. And that's what's going to be the biggest thing. And I think all of us as surfers, we all look at each other and we all know, like, hey, we're gonna go over there to Tokyo and put on a show for our sport. Mm-hmm. Our sport that's already given us so much. It's a way for us to give back. Mm-hmm. We put on a good show in front of this new audience. You bring more fans into surfing. Surfing becomes a major sport, and becomes goes right there alongside basketball, football, soccer. And yeah, like, for people talking about it in a lot of media and stuff like that around me, every interview that I do and every time I talk about the Olympics, I put that hat on. I put that hat on of being a representative of surfing. Right. And it's at times I wake up and I feel a lot of pressure on me, and it feels really heavy, but it's an honor, and I'm trying to do my best to represent the sport, Japan, America, and this new generation of I guess I call myself a kid that's bringing the heat to the older generation.
Yeah, I mean, the media requirements is an interesting one too, because there's a lot of parallels. Before I started doing the brand and strat job, I was doing the media stuff on tour for years, and you would see it in the requirements of world champions. You win the world title, and the next year you're literally booked at every press conference. Everyone wants your time, and it does make a real, like, material impact on the time you have to spend with the media versus training versus preparation versus expectation. So I'd imagine it's pretty comparable for what you've had to go through on the Olympic side.
Yeah, it's been crazy. I guess in a way I forgot how nice it was to just have a Sunday at home and have brunch with my family. It's like just small things like that. You kind of lose a lot of just like I guess calmness, at least in my world. I'm just trying to fit in as much as I can so I can have like a day off, later in the week.
Well, what does a day off for you look like? What do you do?
A day off for me, I haven't had a day off in a long time. I haven't. I guess my day offs are on the plane. Like, that's my day off. Like, that's
crazy.
It's actually really nice. Like, I love traveling.
People can't get a hold of you.
Oh my god. Yeah, exactly. I used to hate traveling and flying, or not traveling, but flying. I hated airports, and I felt like I was just losing time. I felt like I was losing valuable time on the plane where I could be doing something. Right. That feeling of being caged inside the airplane.
Anxious, I get it.
Yeah, I was just like, oh, like, I could be surfing, I could be doing this, I could be hanging out with him, whatever. And being on the plane nowadays is like, oh my god, like, no one can, like, I have an excuse, no one can bug me. I can sit down, I can just watch my movie, and I can just enjoy, like, the next, hopefully it's a long flight. I have someone bringing food to me, and I get to just eat my food and just, like, listen to music and, like, look at my food and enjoy it. It's such a small little thing, but and when the flight lands, I'm just like, oh, and I turn my phone back on. It's just like, oh, here we go again, like, back to reality. So to be honest, oh my god, I love being on planes these days. It's just like this calming little world, my little world.
That's sad. You and I both need to work on our days off thing. We need to be like, hey, we're every 10 days we're putting the phone away and we'll just like relax.
Oh, to be honest, I mean, I say that, but I love every second of it. Like,
Of course, yeah.
I eat it up. Like, if I had a choice, I'd pick this, over anything. My friends understand, my family understands. This is like what I love to do. And then as soon as the WSL finals are over in end of September, I'll give myself 2 weeks, and I'll just have a little bit of a vacation and get right back into it. So yeah, that's all I need. Those 2 weeks will mean the world to me.
You're a citizen of the globe, so where would you go on a 2-week vacation to chill out? Is it Ibiza or it's another question, because you have to be on the road all the time? Is it just like at staycation? I just want to be home for 2 weeks.
No.
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 Where are we going? Just dartboard it for me.
I think we'd vacation for me. I guess we'd go to. I guess it depends on the day, what I'm feeling, but I want to go to check out like Ibiza. I want to check out like Greece. I want to go over to I want to explore Europe a little bit. Like Italy. Like I've been there a few times, but like I don't know, just.
And you've got residence in Portugal,
yeah.
So that's a good jumping off point.
Oh yeah. From there, from Lisbon Airport, you can go anywhere with one flight. So. Yeah, I don't know, like explore Europe a little bit. I love Porto in Portugal.
Yep, sure.
It's super nice there. Yeah, like I don't know, just somewhere that has like a rich culture. I think I mean, my friends were just looking at because we're already talking about like okay, all right,
right. The back 2 weeks of September, clock it in,
yeah. Like Kanoa's done at the end of September. Like my birthday's October 1st and stuff. It was like okay, cool. What can we do? So, yeah, I mean, I guess it's so weird to be looking forward to something so far ahead, but it's crazy. Like I wake up every morning and my day is so full. It's so exciting, I don't wake up and I don't, like roll around in bed. Like that to me is like, just like, sleep when you're dead. Like, just get up and go, and that's what excites me. I get to go to bed every night tired and I know that I've done a lot. I get to close that book and start a new one the next day.
I love it. Let's circle back to the Olympics for a minute. You were in El Salvador for the ISA World Games, clocking the competition. Did anyone stand out to you in terms of performance and just in general when we're heading to Chiba here? How do you feel about your chances of a podium finish and gold medals?
Yeah, El Salvador was fun. I got to spend a lot of time with my my team, my Japanese team. I got to spend a lot of time with something like Hiroto and Shun and them that I normally spend time with on the QS, but it's just been a little bit tricky the last few years. And yeah, I mean, the level of serving they were doing was just something. They were serving with their heart, Shun and Hiroto. They were surfing, they had that samurai spirit, like literally. We'd wake up in the morning and they'd be, I would go surf pretty early in the morning, but they would be coming out of the water at like dark. And it was like 5 a.m., like 5:30, they're coming out of the water.
Like the Sally Fitzgibbons clock.
And they're just, and yeah, exactly. They were just like, they had this look in their eyes like, yeah, we're ready to rumble. And it was just like this like crazy aura they had around them in the whole contest. And they just stood out to me like crazy. I think in the next few years, Shun and Hiroto will be on tour. I said it here first, by the way.
There you go. Broke news on the lineup. We love that. We'll pull that quote.
Yeah, you guys will pull that one. Save that one. But it's I mean, I guess I'm saying this. I'm talking as if like I'm the only one that knows, but yeah, I think everyone knows. Yeah.
But it does matter, right? Because you do have the perspective of not just being on the CT, but being a title contender. Like you're now giving yourselves looks, so that matters when you're endorsing your countrymen. And obviously Hiroto's won U.S. Open, and there's just so much talent from Japan. So it's cool to get that perspective.
Yeah, well, I'm so proud of them. I could be here for 2 hours talking about how amazing they are. Out of the water. The passion, that samurai warrior spirit that they have in them, where they'll just fight till the end. And they just grit their teeth and they put their head down. And it's like something. It's a power that you don't see really often. Right. And I think that's what you need to grit your teeth on the tour. they hold that, and it's something I never saw before. I've spent a lot of time with them in the last few years, but they didn't have that. But like now with this, I think it was just a mixture of the Olympics and a mixture of me, like, getting good results on tour, and having Amuro on the Japanese side get on tour. I think it was a mixture of all that, and they're just like, all right, I think it's our turn now. Like it's our time now. And yeah, it's amazing to see them grow up. Grow up. I mean, we're all the same age, but it's amazing to see that kind of new wave of Japanese surfers grow. And saying that, like Rio Waito is surfing really amazing. It's amazing to see this Asian culture really flourish in our world of surfing. And I think after the Olympics, it's going to only expedite that.
Yeah.
Obviously for me, a big goal of mine is to win a gold medal and to kind of, hold it up and have it next to the Japanese flag and just go, like we can do this. It's a, I'm an Asian, I'm Japanese, and in a world where, I'm an Asian American living in California, growing up, like, we can do this. Like we can win gold medals in the Olympics, which is such a powerful message without even having to say a single word, just with a photo. So yeah, that's a pretty deep goal of mine.
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. And I think it's kind of reflective of, I've talked about this before, but like when I started getting into surfing, I was, this is the 90s, and I was interested in it because it was a window to a bigger world, and you can learn about different people and different cultures, and it just was interesting. And I think for a period of time it got more insular, but as you said, it's like, all these things are changing to the point where, the ocean is inclusive. The ocean doesn't really care where you're from. And if you can kind of become a beacon for people to not only normalize, but understand that there's goals that they can strive for and achieve, it's a big, big deal. Just on that topic, like so many things have been changing. I remember 10, 15 years ago when Carissa and Kolohe signed with Target, and all the backlash from the core community about like they're not a core sponsor and blah 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 blah, and that just feels like it's changed so radically in such a short amount of time. And now it's expected. You actually have a really powerful balance of what people would call kind of endemic and non-endemic partners, and the fact that you're a world title contender and an Olympian only seems to have sort of buoyed that for you.
Yeah. It's funny. Yeah, that, like, what you talked about Kolohe and Carissa signing those deals. I think people are starting to realize that surfing is becoming it's just evolving, and you just have to accept it. You can still go surf, and the sport's the same.
Right.
It doesn't matter what's going on around it. As long as you can wake up in the morning, have your coffee, put wax on your board and go surf before work, like it shouldn't affect you. If guys are signing multi-million-dollar deals or signing with a company outside of the sport, it's a part of nature. Surfing is a sport where it was bound to grow. It was bound to become this Olympic sport.
Right,
really,
yeah.
And here we are. We're talking about it now, but yeah, like I have probably more than half my sponsors outside of like the surf world, which is I guess for me, I'm just proud to represent these companies and do my part of being an athlete, working hard, and putting up results, and also being just a good spokesperson for things that I believe in, and things that I want to see change for the better in the world. Like for example, when I signed with Shiseido, that was like a huge moment for me because it aligned with my beliefs of making the world a better place. My world is the ocean.
Right.
That's my world. That's my home. That's where the ocean's given so much to me. And the only thing we can do is give back. We all have done things to affect the ocean in a negative way. And it's not too late to make a change and do your 1%. Like I'm the first one to admit, like, yeah, I used to use single-use plastics and all that stuff, but
Sure.
but yeah, I've changed. I feel like it was my time to do my part, learn about it, and try and lead a change for a better future and for my grandchildren to be able to enjoy the ocean just the way that I am.
Of course. And I mean, it's funny too, because that psychology of people saying, oh, I'm not into non-endemic brands, the surfers themselves are all for like, well, if it's supporting what I want to do and then supporting me become a better surfer, or they're sponsoring events and creating career opportunities, what's the problem with it? And it was funny, like the Target thing was like, everyone's like, oh, I'm at Target. And then everyone's like, but I love shopping at Target. Like Target's great, you know? And even going back to kind of the product, you mentioned Shiseido before, like that is great sunscreen. Like I've been using it all spring and I'm like, this is great. It's not greasy. It protects my skin. So, you know, it's just things like that where I get it when the core industry is like, well, don't get on my corner. I'm making these kind of products. But at the same time, when you can have a complement of supporters and and especially as you mentioned, when they are, you know, ecologically minded or sustainability minded, like there's nothing wrong with that at all. And it's sort of reflective of a new world in surfing.
Yeah, exactly. It's it's a funny one. You know, but it's just like, you know, I'm with Quicksilver. Like, you know, Quicksilver is my family. That's
Red Bull, Oakley, Sharp Eye. It's not like you have. It's like you're sort of a child of both worlds in a lot of ways.
Yeah, exactly. Well, like, you know, I you know, someone can't come up to me and be like, yeah, Quicksilver sucks. Like, I love Billabong. It's like, it's just like, no, like Quicksilver's mine. If you know, like, if you have nothing, like, it's just one of those things where, you know, we all have our choices. Like, you know, Quicksilver is my family. You know, if you want to be, you know, something, you want to support something else, like that's your world, that's your life. Like, but this is my world. So just leave me alone.
We got a few more topics. We're gonna take one more quick break, and we'll be back in a minute. So by the time this episode airs, we would have completed the Jeep Surf Ranch Pro. You probably won. We got the big break and then the Olympics. And then we have Mexico in Barra de la Cruz. We have Tahiti with Chopu, and then the WSL finals. What are you thinking about after Surf Ranch in terms of post-Olympics, your chances at somewhere like Barra de la Cruz, Tahiti? Have you surfed there before? Obviously Tahiti, but what's your experience and how do you prepare for those events coming out of the Olympics?
Oh, man. To be honest, as soon as you said after the Surf Ranch Pro and then into the next event, I got the biggest like wave of anxiety. I just went through my body because I just remembered all the stuff that I have to do after this event
for the Olympics.
For the Olympics,
sure, yeah. So, you're gonna be, as we were saying, you're probably gonna be busier than anyone else.
Oh, I can't wait to get to Barra.
Not to remind you.
I can't wait to get to, because if
the Olympics will be done.
Yeah, that means if I get to Barra, that means I survived the Olympics. Oh, I can't wait to talk to someone after at Barra. Can't wait to surf those rights and just have all that behind me. But surf events are my getaway. It's kind of my time off. But after this event, you know, this event finishes the 20th, the 21st until like the 29th, I believe. I have like 10-hour shoot days every single day. Oof. I think I have like one Sunday afternoon off. So yeah, that's where my anxiety just came from. But
sure.
But yeah, I mean that's
Let's go to Barra. We're done. We're at Barra.
Here we are at Barra. It's just I'm having a coconut on the beach. I'm just sitting back. I'm just reflecting, watching the sunset with my friends, talking about the Olympics. But that's just a dream. That sounds dreamy. But yeah, wow, what a dream tour stop. Are you kidding me? Like that's you know, that's what you dream of. That's why you go on tours, to have waves like Barra. I mean, I think it would be illegal to talk about Barra without mentioning that one year they had the search event there.
Sure.
It's just you can't go past that. Everyone knows about it. What year was that?
2006.
2006. Like, I wasn't even watching surf competitions at the time.
How old were you in 2006?
I was 9 years old.
Okay.
So I started watching like CT events probably when I was around 15, I think. So that was like way before. And I was like
prehistory, man.
Oh, that was like when the dinosaurs were still around. You know? Like,
There's a couple of us left.
Yeah. But like, you watch highlights of that and you see, what really excites me about that event is like you listen to the interviews that people had, like post heat interviews and stuff from the event. It was just like everyone just has the biggest smile on their face.
Right.
It's crazy. Like everyone looks like they're on ecstasy. Just like eyes are coming out of their face, just so psyched, like can't believe what's going on. Like I don't know how you would compete in waves that good. Like that must be the hardest thing ever. But yeah, I mean, I can almost guarantee that it probably won't be that good. But if we get something close to that, that's a win.
Word on the streets, the sand's pretty good right now.
That sounds really good right now. I heard.
So I mean, knock on wood somewhere where we're not jinxing it.
I just said that because I'm trying to manage my expectations. I'm just excited.
I get that.
I think that'll be the best event of the year. I'm calling it.
So let's fast forward. You're in the top 5, 3, 4, 5, 2, 1. This could be something. You're at lower trestles. We're here at Surf Ranch. Gabriel Medina's had a fantastic season. He may have already qualified. We'll kind of figure that out. Do you think there's a difference between someone like Gabriel Medina level wise and the rest of the field, yourself included?
I just think he's comfortable right now. I mean, obviously, he's 3 world titles. Like how 3, right?
He's got 2.
2.
Don't give him the third one.
Yeah,
man.
2 world titles. Like, are you kidding me? Like, how comfortable can you be?
Came close with Italo for the third.
Exactly. That was good. That was a good one. But like, you have 2 world titles under your belt. You've had an amazing start. It's just kind of, it's one of those comfort things where he has nothing else to prove.
Right.
He's in a space in his career where he just has to wake up and do his job and just do what he does best. And he's at an age where he's peaking right now.
Right.
You can tell. How old is he? Like 26, 27?
Yeah, be around there.
Yeah, right around there. Like that's the age where you're peaking. It's just like a comfort feeling, and you're kind of just riding that kind of that airstream. Is pretty much what it is. And he is at that level where you look at him and you go, okay, cool. Like, what do I have to do to beat him on this day?
Right.
And he sets the pace. Like, you have to be honest. Like, I think everyone knows that, and it is hard to set the pace. Like, I give him a lot of credit because it's hard to be that guy and set that pace without having anything to base off of.
Right.
He's and everyone's kind of chasing. Chasing is easy.
Right.
You have something to aim at and you're trying to shoot him down.
He's the target.
Yeah. It's easy to shoot at a target, but
right. It's hard to beat it.
But like trying to like place a target in the right spot, that's hard.
Yeah.
Like, and making sure he sets the target high, but making sure he's not overdoing it. It's a whole balancing act. And like my work's cut out for me. It's simple. Like work hard and I know what I have to do. It's black and white. So
do you approach heats and competition differently if it's Gabriel versus somebody else, or is it the same for everybody?
It's funny. Everyone says like, oh yeah, I go into my heats like the same way for everyone, but that's like the biggest lie ever. Like
we're definitely gonna clip that, and every time someone brings it up, we'll just play it.
It's crazy. It's oh my god, you hear so many lies on the interviews, but you can't like it just doesn't make sense. You go up against a guy like Gabriel Medina in a heat versus you go against some kid in the NSSA. Like, you're not going to compete the same way, obviously. When you're competing against Gabriel, you step up to that level and go like, oh yeah, like let's buckle in here. Like let's
Is it because you go like, well, it's sort of 8s or lates, I have to go for 9s, whereas if it's someone that's not Gabriel, you're like, the smart way to compete here is to 6s and 7s and build?
Yeah.
Like, is it something in that space?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Everyone's smart on tour. Everyone knows how to compete. Everyone knows each other's levels. You never want to underestimate someone. I think that's one thing that people, a lot of us on tour know.
Yeah.
You never underestimate someone, but you can definitely set the standards higher for someone. In saying that, I guess it's kind of not the right word, but
no, that makes sense. That makes sense.
But against Gabriel, he's the best in the world right now. you give it your all. You go all out.
Right.
I mean, what else can what are you saving for? You know,
Is it simpler to compete that way where you're like, well, I just keep my foot on the gas the whole time?
Yeah, of course. You go hard and you come in and make sure you're coming out of the water and you're sweating and you put in a good effort. You know, you don't want to be coming in out of a heat with Gabriel and just go like, that was fun. That was easy.
Right.
You know, like you want to come out of the water going like, oh, that was I just gave it some. And that's fun. That's why we compete. It's to have that feeling coming out of the water and panting and needing water. You know, like that's competing. You know, you don't want to be coming out of the water and just going like, oh yeah, like what should we do for lunch, or when's my next heat? You know, like you don't want to be fresh coming out of the water. You want to go at war. I mean, in saying that, everyone on tour is capable of putting up 18 points.
You know, the finals format is unique and particularly exciting, right? We're going to do 5th seed surf against the 4th seed, winner surfs against the 3rd seed, winner surfs against the 2nd seed, and then the winner of that is best 2 out of 3 against the number 1 seed for the world title. Presuming Gabriel continues his pace this year and he's the number 1 seed, where do you want to land 5, 4, 3, 2, or 1 in terms of rolling in? Because I'd imagine there's an advantage to saying, well, I don't want to be cold going up against the number 1 seed. I want to get a couple of wins under my belt on the day. But maybe there's an inflection point where it's like, I don't want to be 5th either.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on this?
It's actually, I had a funny conversation with my friends about this, like literally like 2 days ago. Oh, that was one of the conversations that I had in the water with him. He's in the water just free surfing that day. But like, if I had a choice right now, if someone told me like, okay, all right, you're going to cement your spot right now, where do you want to be? I wouldn't tell you first.
You wouldn't want to be first.
No,
you wouldn't want to be waiting at the end of the track.
Way, yeah. Although, yeah, your chances are highest at first. You know,
I mean, it's like a psychology thing. What do you think Gabriel would rather do?
I mean, psychology, in psychology, like mentally, like yeah, maybe you do want to start from 3rd or whatever, but like I mean, if you go by Vegas odds,
sure, yeah,
like, you know, first place is obviously has the best odds.
Of course. So where would you want to be if not 1st?
I think 3rd.
3rd's you like that?
I think it's a good number, just because like okay, you go up against 2nd, or you would go up against 4th.
You would, if you're 3rd, you go up against whoever won the first heat, 4th or 5th.
4th, yeah.
And then you have to beat them, and then you go against 2nd. Yeah.
Yeah, like, are you kidding me? How sick would that be? Like building momentum towards your world title. Like,
I'm with you. I think 3's the magic spot. I think 2's maybe the worst spot.
Why is that?
Well, because I think you're so close to the final with number 1, but you're cold, so you're having to meet someone with momentum.
That's hot.
And you're like, well, shit, like, and you only get one shot, you know? Like,
yeah.
I feel like 2's the hot seat in that format.
I think 2 is a hot seat. I think 3 is a good number.
3's good.
3's really good. I think 3, even 4, like, we're surfing lowers. Like you're not exerting that much energy. To be honest, like it's so fun and playful. Like if you're saying like if you say pipe, I could say it's a different story. Like okay, like I think I'd rather be 1st.
At pipe.
Yeah, pipe.
Oh, that's interesting.
Because you're saving your energy. You need every bit of energy, and then it's pretty much about picking waves out of pipe, and then just like gritting your teeth. Where lowers is a wave where like. It's kind of like, oh yeah, like wow, look at he's looking sharp today. Like
you have to perform.
Yeah, and you're building. You're like, okay, cool. Like whoa, like this is where I'm at. Like oh yeah, everything's clicking. I'm firing today. Bang! Oh, I'm in the final. Like oh yeah, I just beat 2nd in the world and 3rd in the world. Like I'm gonna be 1st in the world now. Right. I think that momentum and that rhythm is definitely gonna go down at a lowers. Like it'll be hard to be 1st and fire up so quick.
Right. It's funny because I've thought a lot about this too, and I don't know if there's anyone aside from Gabe who will be okay being 1st, in the sense of he's just so ice cold, and I feel like he's okay waiting at the end of the runway to be like, come on in, you know. But I don't know. Maybe he doesn't want to be. Maybe he wants to be 3rd too. Probably wants to be 3rd after this podcast. That does sound good.
That sounds fun. Get to surf lowers. Are you kidding me?
That's right. Well, last time you were on, you did the lightning round, so we won't make you do it again. But we did get a number of questions from the Instagram community, and we picked 5 of them. So we'll run through those, and then we'll get you on your way to Surf Ranch victory.
Nice.
I'd imagine. So first question is from You Can Call Me Dan, who asks, what would be a bigger accomplishment for you? A world title or winning a gold medal in Tokyo? I'm sure this is the first time you've ever been asked this question.
Oh my God.
I think I probably asked it last time.
I think so too.
Right.
I mean, it's possible to win both in the same year. Someone
Totally.
there's definitely that chance too. But something about that like prestigiousness of first time Olympics.
Sure.
Happens every 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
For surfing's debut. I think winning a gold medal this year.
Home country.
Would just be like, I think I'll just explode.
Yeah, you do them both.
Yeah. I wouldn't mind doing both either.
All right. So Luca Savio, apologies if that's not the right way to pronounce it, asks, what's the hardest maneuver to land?
The hardest maneuver to land is any maneuver after riding your whole wave at the surf ranch.
The final maneuver.
The final maneuver.
Literally kicking out's difficult.
Yeah. Like getting out of the wave is already hard. No, I think just like doing a really clean full rotation is hard. Like the landing on and the precision that you need to land a full rotation is like you have to be really, really in tune with everything.
Is it harder with a grab or without on the full rope?
I think without it's hard to keep your board stuck to your feet.
Right. Cress C. Bailey or Cresh Bailey asks, what are some essentials that you are packing for the Olympic Village?
Hydration powder. Are you kidding me? Like it's gonna be so hot over there. It's I heard it. I mean, it's not. I heard. I know. It's summer in Japan is like people don't realize how hot and humid it is.
Right.
And then you're already sweating just from the whole situation, and then you go outside and it's just like 1,000 degrees out, and all of a sudden you're flailing in 2 foot waves, like you're just using so much energy. You're gonna come out of the water just a prune. So hydration, lots of water.
Wellens Lone asks, if you weren't a professional surfer, what job would you like to have?
There's a few. I'd like to be a chef. I love cooking.
Really? Do you watch any shows like Netflix?
I just follow Gordon Ramsay. I love his stuff.
What's your dish? If you had to make one dish for someone that came over, what would you make?
I kind of freestyle a lot. But the other day I made a really good sesame crusted kind of like panko chicken. It's pretty good. I did it with like a truffle mashed potato and some random salad I just threw in there, but it was pretty good.
Well, I know you're not busy enough, so maybe we can do like a sideshow.
I swear, I was just like making. I remember I made the meal and I was like, I can't believe I just spent an hour making this meal. I like turned off. I like put aside like 2 Zoom calls. But I was like, I need to just like make some food. Like it's like a stress reliever for me.
That sounds like you're happy, like a meditation almost.
Yeah,
where you're like, I'm just focused on one thing.
And I've been super into architecture.
Cool.
Yeah, I'd love to study that more.
Right. Okay. Last question from the Instagram community. Pablo Menendez.79 asks, what's your routine around food, supplements, and training?
Constantly evolving, constantly changing. As an athlete, I feel like there's no secret formula.
Right.
And for me, I'm at a stage in my career where I've already experimented a lot and working with my weight. I've probably gained about like 30 pounds over the course I've been on tour.
Well, 5 years from 18 to 23.
Yeah. Like maybe 40, 30, 40.
That makes sense.
Yeah, just like, going from just this little kid. It's so funny watching footage of me like on my first year on tour at J-Bay. I look like just a string bean thing. I'm just like, I don't know how I was able to even like get to my feet. But then now I'm 180 pounds. Like, I'm right up there with probably one of the heaviest guys on tour.
Well, do you think you'll level at 180, like, or you go lighter, heavier? Yeah,
I think so. I think 180 is my number.
Yeah,
I've kind of realized, 'cause I've been 180 for probably like about 6 months now.
Yeah.
But my diet, I eat a lot of Japanese food.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's Yeah, that's my thing, obviously. You know,
It's delicious. Why
yeah,
not?
I mean, it's
my
super
thing
good.
too.
Yeah, exactly. I just started getting into sushi. I just started eating
We
it.
never ate it before.
Never ate it before.
Why not?
It freaked me out. Just
Yeah.
like seeing the fish,
Sure.
and then I see him so often, and then like seeing him move. And
Sure.
then,
Yeah.
yeah.
You could get distracted out
yeah,
in the water.
yeah, exactly. Fish are friends. But and then I started eating fish on a trip to Tahiti I did last year during the pandemic. I went over there and I was so sick of eating the fried chicken every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really good, by the way. The lemon chicken.
I'm with you, man.
It's
But
insane.
I'm pretty much the same. Where I'm like, I'm out of options. I've got to
Yeah.
eat some poisson crew here or something. Like,
I was out of options, and then I just had some sashimi. I was like, oh my god,
delicious.
what
Yeah.
have I been doing my whole life? Can I just restart my life?
Yeah. Missed out.
Yeah, I missed out on so much. So, yeah, my diet consists of a lot of Japanese food, and you know, I go to the gym every day.
Yeah.
Like that's my hobby. That's my you know, I spend probably just as much time in the gym as I do in the water. So that's
Yeah,
my
right.
thing.
Well, it shows, man. So thank you so much.
Awesome.
First repeat guest on the lineup. Good luck in the Jeep Surf Ranch Pro. By the time this drops, we'll know how you did. And
Awesome.
good luck in the Olympics. We look forward to seeing you down the track, man.
Yeah, it's an honor. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yep.